You are listening to the MSPoweruser Podcast. This is the podcast for the Microsoft enthusiast and power user. We discuss the latest news from MSPoweruser.com about Microsoft, Windows, Xbox, HoloLens, Surface, all that awesome stuff. My name is Vernon E. Smith, and I'm joined as usual by Andy Bennett. Andy, how are you tonight, man?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. A little out of it thanks to coffee not really knowing what it should do, really, or I'm losing my words, but whatever. Today's been a good day.
That's good.
Weather's been nice. It's been kind of wavering between 65 and 70, and that's just right for me, so I'm enjoying it.
Well, I think we almost hit 50 today. That was nice, but yeah, winter's coming, and I can't believe I'm talking about the weather, but like that's what's on my mind. That's what's been worried about lately the last week or so. It's just like, ugh,
You're just thinking of snow.
Yeah, it's coming. Usually we don't get it till after Halloween, so that's not too bad.
Yeah. Over here, it takes until... Ohio can never make up its mind. Sometimes you'll get it in October. Sometimes you'll get it in January or late December. It's like it just changes with every year. It's like a roll of the dice.
Mm-hmm. Our problem here is that it continues into the spring. Like there's still snow on the ground in May pretty much all the time. And it's just, it drags out. And that's, that makes for a long winter.
Yikes.
All right, so I have been out of it the last couple days, have not been able to follow some of these things. But there was a big release. We're finally getting back to Insider, and some of the Insider stuff is a big deal again. So today, Thursday, there's a fast ring release for Windows. The build number is 14.946, and I know nothing about this except for Andy told me a few minutes ago that there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Andy, what am I looking forward to here?
All right, so the first big change in this build 14946, is that you can start customizing touchpad functions, and these are for swipe. Let me quickly check here again just to be sure. Yeah, this is for swipes with 3 or 4 fingers for your touchpad. So you can say swipe up with 3 fingers for task view, swipe down with 3 fingers to show the desktop, left to switch apps, etc., which, just being able to switch apps with the touchpad is particularly nice, but if you want to get in deep and start customizing it, you can. Now, in settings, there is a gesture section, and then you can go to an advanced gestures configuration page, and in that, you can customize every single thing, and this is perfect for power users. You can start switching what happens with just taps with 3 fingers, swipes in any direction, and just fully customize it. You have every single option. Like, if you want to search with Cortana every single time you tap with 3 fingers, go ahead. If you want to, go to the action center. If you swipe right with 4 fingers, go ahead. It is really, really cool, and it's nice to see a function in Windows that is just totally open to configuration here. And so, what's your take on that? I don't know if you have a laptop with a touchpad you use regularly. I certainly don't, although I use it on my Surface quite a bit.
I do have a work laptop. What is it? A Dell Latitude, something that's certainly not from this decade. Well, maybe it is, but it's always docked, so I really don't use it much in a laptop configuration. But part of that too is that I cannot stand using it in a laptop configuration. I really don't like using a laptop keyboard. I do not like using the touchpad. I'm just old-fashioned or something. And, the touchpad isn't that bad. I've used better ones occasionally, and I just don't like it. And then looking at my Surface even, you're saying using with 3 or 4 fingers. I'm like, I could barely fit my 3 fingers on there, let alone 4. Now, this is the Surface 3 touchpad, the touch key type keyboard. And I mean, I guess I don't remember. I don't think the Surface Pro keyboard is much bigger than that. Well, I'm certain that it is actually bigger, but I don't know if the touch area is that much bigger. And I don't know. It's just not a thing for me. Now, that being said, I really loved the gestures that were used for Action Center, or in Windows 8.1, the Charms bar. Now, people either loved or hated the Charms bar, and I loved it. I thought it was just fine. And
yeah, same here. I didn't like it for desktop stuff, but for touch, that was pretty great.
That was more a tablet operating system, and with even on desktop, I had muscle memory of just using the mouse to pull up Charms bar, or of course I've drawn a blank. What's on the left side?
The left side from swiping it, I don't know if it had a name, but it was kind of the app switcher where you'd switch between the desktop and between modern apps, and you would be able to snap them to one side of the screen or just close them entirely from there.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking there was another gesture, but that's okay. But I remember trying out the Windows 8 UI initially, and I was at a Microsoft store, and they didn't even have, this was before the Surface was available, and they had an old Samsung tablet which came with Windows 7 or whatever, and they had put the preview software on there. This is before the Insider program. This is before Windows 8. There were a few leaks, basically. I knew it was coming.
I would expect that to be like the developer preview. They had a couple of those. I forget if it was 2 or 3 developer previews, and then they had a consumer preview. And then I think there was release preview. I didn't exactly follow Windows 8's various previews too closely, but I think that was it.
I just remember that experience, that Microsoft Store employee showing me, a few things you could do with that, or really a lot of things you could do, all gesture based. I thought that was fantastic because BlackBerry had that stuff to be, a long time ago. Palm, or WebOS had the gesture stuff, which was great. And I was just really hoping to see more of that come, proliferate into the computing space. And it, I guess in a way, it is now. This is not the first time we've had gestures on a touchpad, obviously, but it's nice to see that you can customize them and add things in them.
There's some stuff like for touchpad gestures. There's some from I think it's Synaptics who has their touchpad drivers that add all sorts of things you can do, like 2 fingers to scroll, which is something that I used quite a bit when either borrowing laptops or helping someone out. And it was and it's particularly nice, and I didn't know why it wasn't built into Windows with some of these things, but we're getting kind of close, I guess.
Well, 2 fingers to scroll, both vertically and horizontally, is already a thing, at least on the Surface. I do that quite a bit.
I haven't been able to get that to work on some laptops, so I assumed it was just a Synaptics thing.
I guess I don't really know. I'm the wrong person to really ask about laptop touchpad gestures.
But I like touchpads for gestures, however you'd say it. Not particularly a fan of using it to replace a mouse, but being able to just swipe your hand across the keyboard and get something is nice, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So what else is coming? Anything of substance coming in this fast ring build?
Actually, yes, because this is another mobile build. I think this is the first mobile build in a little while. Yeah, I think it is. Anyways, one of the changes for mobile today is that there's separate screen timeout settings when you use Continuum, which should be nice. This means that you're able to turn off whichever screen you want when you're not... you are able to turn off whichever screen you are not using when you use Continuum. This saves some battery and prevents screen burn-in, and it means you can shut off either the phone screen or the big screen when you're using Continuum. Because not everyone's going to be holding their phone while they're using their phone as a PC. And so this makes sense, and it's really nice to see it here. It isn't a gigantic thing, but definitely a welcome change. It says here, for an example, if you're working on a Word document, your phone screen will sleep without any impact on your Continuum session. If you make a call, hang up, or press the phone power button, you can keep right on working in Word with Continuum. And if you prefer longer or shorter timeout values, you can change them independently for the phone and connected screen using settings, which is found settings, personalization, lock screen. That's really nice. It's more things where they're just putting more control in the hands of the user, and I love that. I really hope we see more stuff like that again and again throughout builds, and as we go into Redstone 2, because that's kind of an area where I think they failed a little with a few previous releases. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Windows 10 takes away all control from the user like some folks seem to believe. I'm just saying that stuff like active hours was too short, which they fixed in Redstone 2. And there's just little things that I think people should have had a little more control over, and they're starting to get that control. And I like it.
Yeah, the active hours. There's a window between about midnight and about 3 in the morning when I know, well, I should say 1 in the morning and about 4 in the morning when I know I'm not going to be on my PC. Other than that, it's all bets are off because of my schedule. Either I'm up at 4 working on something before I go to work, or I'm up late after recording a show, or working on something once the kids go to bed. That 12-hour limit, it could have been I just shut it off. Like it wasn't going to work for me.
Yeah, I kind of think that it would have been best if it was choose hours you're not going to work. But
yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
They're
Taking steps in the right direction.
Yeah, see, that's what I would have chosen. It said, hey, it just said if it just needs a 3-hour window, perfect. I'll give you a 3-hour window. That should be enough to update, right? This is what I want to happen.
My personal favorite method, just update the computer when it shuts down, because that's what I always did. And I guess in the never-ending quest to make sure everyone keeps their PC updated, a lot of people just left their PC on forever.
See, that I do not understand. I really don't get it. And I don't have an SSD. I mean, it takes a little bit to fire this thing up, but it's because I'm deliberate about it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do some work on my computer. And then, okay, now I'm done. I'm moving on to the next thing. I have dishes to do. I have diapers to change. The garbage to take out. Like,
in general, I just leave my PC on for the day. And, like, even if I'm going away, I'll leave it on because it's like, oh, I could come back in 5, 10, 20 minutes. Hey, maybe even 3 hours. Who knows? I might get a notification on my phone saying, "Hey, come back to Slack. You know, we got to work on something," and I'll have to run over and go to my PC. Although there's been times where recently where for whatever reason it's been bugging out during that. It's probably more of a thing with the device than Windows 10, but yeah, that's just what I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I guess I don't really have a lot of time during the day, but all right, moving forward here. Microsoft's David Treadwell is moving...
Wait. We still got a lot to cover in this build.
I'm sorry. Hey, finish up. Sorry about that.
I'm maybe
I don't see the
30% into scrolling on this page.
Hey, go for it. I wasn't. This is all you.
Yeah, and the next big change is that there is an updated Wi-Fi settings page. And this is one that is apparently more like mobile, as they say we're continuing to make settings more similar across Windows devices. And there's a new setting in the Wi-Fi settings page where you go, which you can find under the network and internet section, and just go to Wi-Fi. And it says turn Wi-Fi off, and you can now select a time where you want to turn Wi-Fi back on. And you can turn it on either manually, which is default, I assume, or in 1 hour, 4 hours, or 1 day. This could be cool if you're like on a fixed data plan and it resets in a day and you just don't want to have that screw up.
Yeah, this has been on Windows 10 Mobile, well, since Windows 8.1, I believe. It's been a fantastic feature. I really liked it. And same thing with, what do they call it? Wi-Fi Sense. And that's come out to Windows 10 a little bit ago now. But basically, reaching out and finding that free Wi-Fi, plugging in a fake name and phone number and email address, and then getting you connected up. That's kind of nice to have. But also, as far as the Wi-Fi settings themselves changing, basically the page changing. There was one build for mobile, I don't remember when it was here, a few weeks ago, where you had two Wi-Fi settings pages. One was the old style, one was the new one. And they looked a little bit different, but I don't think that was... I get the feeling that they are really changing the back end on that quite a bit, and that's obviously...
Yeah, speaking of those two Wi-Fi settings page, they also touched on that here.
Okay.
They say they're continuing to move functionality from the Wi-Fi legacy screen to the new screen, and if after you turn off Wi-Fi, choose a time under Turn Wi-Fi back on to have it turn on automatically after the amount of time you choose. And they say, based on what we heard from customers in the Windows 10 anniversary update, we changed the default setting from in 1 hour to manually. So now on both devices, when you shut your Wi-Fi off, it'll manually you'll have to manually turn it back on by default. So that might mess you up if you're used to it just turning back on in 1 hour. But who knows? Okay. These other changes seem to be pretty much focused on mobile here, like an option to prevent autocorrect, remove words from the user dictionary, which is pretty essential in my opinion.
Yeah.
And expanding text prediction to more languages, which is now available in Lithuanian, Latvian, Estonian, Slovene, also known as Slovenian, Bulgarian, Albanian, Macedonian, Afrikaans, Galician, Basque. Okay, this is the point where I start screwing up names, so I'm done. This is a big list.
Okay. Well, I don't think it really matters that much which ones they are. I mean, obviously they matter to the people that are there, Andy, but don't get hung up on it.
They can check out the post and take a look to see if their language is in there.
Yeah.
And there's also a variety of other improvements and fixes for PC, which are things like optional components such as Hyper-V and Bash remaining installed after updating, fixing issues causing Edge to crash on launch, scrolling was too sensitive, that's fixed. Fixed an issue where Explorer would hang when attempting to open large move files. These are, just regular bug fixes. And for mobile, they've got stuff like fixing an issue causing you to get into a state where text messages will fail to send. I think I heard someone mention that. I don't know if it was you or someone else.
I haven't mentioned it, but I have been experiencing that. And speaking of that, I just blew away my fast ring device and started fresh again. I'm back on general release, which is, or whatever, it's 10.586 or whatever. It's just been, I haven't been able to dedicate the time to maintain it anymore and to fight through some of that stuff. And I was just ready for a fresh start again. So
that's not just basically, that's part of why I stay on stable on PC, because I think back to all the times during Insider builds where it was like, oh boy, I gotta restart Explorer every 15 minutes, and I think now, no, not the life for me anymore.
Yeah, I really should run one of my, now that I could run fast ring on my Surface or on the PC. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Probably not on Surface, because there is a battery issue for the Surface 3, I think it is. Surface 3 and Pro 3 that they keep swatting at, but it keeps coming back.
Lovely.
But
what else we have?
It's beta software. Known issues for PC, it isn't too much. Large Windows Store games like ReCore, Gears of War 4, Forza Horizon 3, Killer Instinct, and Rise of the Tomb Raider may fail to launch. That's pretty significant, I guess, for anyone who plays games and is in the fast ring. And then third-party antivirus software such as Bitdefender, Kaspersky, F-Secure, and Malwarebytes installed on your PC, you might not be able to complete the update. That's interesting. I wonder if it's something to do with them detecting it as malware or what, but that's interesting. Also, PCs that are capable of connected standby, like the Surface Book and Surface Pro 4, may blue screen when in connected standby. Wait.
What?
PCs that are capable of connected standby will blue screen in connected standby. I think they could just word it as if you can use connected standby, don't. But alright.
Because I don't see how a device that cannot use connected standby will have a problem with connected standby.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Anything
else for this one?
I was being silent for a second because there was someone going to open a door. But let's see, there's also getting misconfigured PCs up to date. Some Windows insiders who have pre-release builds on their PCs are not targeted correctly for receiving updates because they have not opted into receiving insider preview builds by having selected a valid ring or in some other misconfigured state. To retarget these PCs, we are making a server-side change that will put them into the slow ring so they can receive updates. Specifically, going forward, any build from our development branch installed on a PC will be put into the slow ring. This includes if you installed a development branch build from an ISO or later reset the device. For PCs on the Windows 10 anniversary update that were previously opted into receiving builds but see a Fix Me button on the Windows Insider Program settings page because they no longer have a registered Microsoft account attached, will be put into the release preview ring. Whew, that was a big one. You can adjust these settings, of course, and blah, blah, blah. Then there's also stuff about Windows Insiders for Good, which we have spent 23 minutes on this build. And it's mostly just been me reading updates very fast.
It's all good.
Okay, now to move on. Now, because you jumped the gun, but now it's time to go for it. Go.
All right. Well, I'm just reading what Andy's got in here, but basically, David Treadwell of Microsoft is leaving the company. Leaving Microsoft. He's going to Amazon. He's been with Microsoft for 27 years, and this is kind of leaked from the folks at GeekWire, apparently. But in 2015, he began leading the identity team, which I didn't know there was an identity team, but it exists. And now Joy Chick something will take over his position. And Treadwell emailed his colleagues saying, as some things happen in life, an opportunity unexpectedly came up to pursue a different but compelling agenda in a different tech problem space than I've done at Microsoft. After much thought about how I want to grow and challenge myself, I've decided to go for it. So this is really, I think it's really easy to get. Obviously, I don't work at Microsoft. I don't know a whole lot of people in upper management there, or very many at all, I should say. But I can see how someone could get in a rut with things. I mean, I work in a corporate environment as well.
I mean, especially after 27 years at the same company. Mm-hmm. Even if you change positions a few times, it's still the same company, and sometimes you just want to change it up.
And obviously, he's at a decent position. I can't imagine he's doing this for the money. He's doing it for something different, and I can see how that would be compelling. I know people who have faced those decisions and chose to do something a little bit more fun instead of necessarily the same. I don't want to call it boring, but the same grind, the same being comfortable, having that sense of contentment when really it's just a sense of complacency, perhaps. And you need to kind of light a fire under oneself and move forward, do something new and productive and something you're proud of.
And I completely believe that what he's saying is completely, the truth. There's some people who have either been joking around or seriously thinking that it's got something to do with Nadella or anything like that, and it's like, no, this is perfectly normal. Anyways, I doubt he listens, but I hope he has good luck at in his new position at Amazon, and hope it all goes well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, moving forward, I am really excited to hear about these Surface devices coming up. Well, okay, Microsoft. We didn't really talk about it last week because we had Jonathan Sampson on. By the way, that was an awesome episode. I had so much fun with that.
Go listen to that. You can listen to that regardless of the week. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But we did hear that the Microsoft, I guess it was on Friday we heard this, that the Microsoft device event will be happening the 26th, I believe, of October.
Yeah, 26th, same day as my little brother's birthday, which is why I remember it.
Oh, wow. Well, cool.
Yeah. It's also Mahiti's birthday, too, I think.
Oh, cool. Again.
So triple feature.
Yeah. Well, I'm quite certain that is why Microsoft chose that day. But anyway, we are expecting with, oddly enough, I actually have a source on this. I have very few sources, folks, but I've had some confirmation that they would be, or very strong leanings, that's going to be two different Surface all-in-one devices, but most likely not a all-in-one device as we traditionally think of, like a dinky old, like a HP i3 or i5 all-in-one. If you guys know what I'm talking about with that. It's going to be something different. It's going to the word studio has been talked about. It has been we'll see, because look at the different devices that Microsoft has come up with. The Surface itself was groundbreaking. Even the Surface that you have, Andy, that is not new, but when that came out,
that thing was revolutionary.
Absolutely, it was,
and even still using it today, even if it's old, it's still one of the highest quality devices I have ever used.
For sure, it really is.
It's Microsoft hardware.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And then of course going forward, I mean, Surface Pro 4 is fantastic. Surface Book. I mean, the Surface line, even the Surface Hub was
the hub specifically even was a big change.
Yeah, the Surface Hub was fantastic. I mean, like, the reveal was pretty cool. They even kind of
it was hidden in plain sight multiple times. It was just, I mean, not aimed at consumers, but even as someone who is not the target audience, I can look at that and go, "Whoa, that's pretty big."
Mm-hmm. And even before what we think of the Surface, we had the Perceptive Pixel devices that were very cool and certainly forward thinking, and what people used to think of as that Iron Man, like when Iron Man's like designing.
I'm thinking Golden Age Iron Man, which is just a man in a tin can, basically.
Well, no, I'm thinking.
I think we have very different mental images here.
Well, whatever the new round of Iron Man was with Robert Downey Jr., like the first movie there, where he was like creating this Iron Man thing in the suit with his like 3D imagery, and he would hold up his hands and manipulate the graphic and that type of thing. Whatever. But that was compared to that back in the day when that was a new movie. Man, I feel pretty old already just talking about that. My point being, Surface is not just going to be another something. It is trying to, I feel, create a market, create a new category. Just like this, the 2-in-1s, basically. There were very few 2-in-1s before Surface. One can argue there really were none that were compelling. And they made the market.
Definitely. Arguably, Surface and Edge have the wrong names. This Surface, really, when you think about it, it is the bleeding edge device. Microsoft not only invented an entire form factor, which is now being cloned by various PC makers and even Google and Apple, which I think pretty much solidifies it as its own form factor. You have the kickstand tablet with a keyboard, and You had the Surface Book, which I think it's going to take a couple hardware revisions for the Surface Book to really fully define itself and get cloned. But it's on its way, I think.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You had the Hub, which as we mentioned, was another big design. I don't think we're really going to see any clones of it, but the Surface line is on the bleeding edge.
Mm-hmm. And so these Surface, quote-unquote, all-in-one devices, they're not just going to be a traditional sit on the desktop and that's the family computer. It's going to be something different. And I don't know what and who knows. There's other people with maybe better information on this, but I'm really excited to see what that's going to be.
With the word studio being used, there's a lot of possibilities, like a gigantic touchscreen that you can draw on or anything like that. Put full use of Windows Ink, because there is certainly a reason it is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing I've been playing around with lately, which I really am enjoying. The Surface Ink or Windows Ink stuff is pretty cool. But these two devices that we feel that there's going to be two different sizes, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm excited to see what happens, and of course, everyone can follow along on the live blog. Not the live blog. They can follow the live stream when they announce us.
I really hope that they announce a new Surface Book, but I don't really know what to expect other than the all-in-one.
I don't think it'll be this year.
Yeah, I think it's like, are we like I think we're due for another Surface announcement, at least, I think, for the main line. Maybe that would be next year or early next year, I'm not sure.
Surface wearable.
Oh boy.
No. Hey, I wouldn't
Microsoft Band.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule that out, but the Band 3, it's funny, what appears to have been the Band 3 has been leaked. And it's been leaked after it has basically been canceled. I mean, everyone feels pretty strongly about this, that they're not going to be releasing a Band 3. And that stinks. I like my Band 3. I mean, it was falling apart.
Band 2.
Band. Oh, I guess I should let people know that I have a Band 3.
Unless you're secretly a Microsoft employee now.
But the Band 2, I'm very happy with its capabilities. Battery life is decent. The activity monitor stuff was fantastic. Very happy with that. And the notification things were very good. I liked the form factor. I liked having that display in a horizontal, perpendicular to my arm. I liked having it that way and on the inside of my wrist. I really appreciated that. And really the only problem was physically the band, the rubber on it, was coming apart. And that sucks because this thing could have been really awesome. Tell us, I didn't read the whole article here. I've just kind of heard things on Twitter. What are they saying this thing could have been?
It could have been okay. I'm no band expert either, really, but it had extra sensors. It had stuff like swim laps. It was waterproof, and it was a third band.
Okay.
I know next to nothing about this
That's
stuff.
fine.
I
No
kind of
problem.
wanted to pick up a Band 1 when it was first announced, and I guess it's a little too late for that, but
sorry, I threw you under the bus on that.
It's kind of sad that really we aren't going to get a third one, to be honest with you, because it could have just been improved over time, and they could have gained more share in the market. But nope.
Well, originally,
it's not meant to be.
Originally, Microsoft Health and the Band OS or whatever, it's not running Windows 10. It's running Band OS, because it's basically firmware. And they were always updating it, which is incredible. It's really nice to see that. But this was originally designed as a concept device, especially Band 1, to show all these sensors you could pack in there and really make it work, show all the things you could do. And with the Band 2, they added in the, what did they do? They added another layer to GPS. They had the accelerometer be a little bit different, and they a little bit better, and then added a feature to it, and then it was the barometer. That's what I'm missing. Barometer was in Band 2, So there were quite literally apps where you'd be skydiving, it would tell you when to pull your cord based off
I don't think
elevation.
I'd want to look at my phone or maybe even my wrist when I'm skydiving.
But if you've ever skydived, I mean, or at least the pros, people who are pulling the cord for you, they have a barometer or elevation on their wrist anyway, in the form of a watch, kind of, and that's how they know when to pull the chute anyway. And
okay,
but it's still I don't know how reliable that was, but I easily saw it be pretty accurate when I would change elevation if I was walking, like hiking. Basically, they called it the not hike. They had a. I'm really tired. I'm not focused on this very well. But anyway, they made good use of that barometer, and now the next is going to be waterproof, or the third Band 3 was going to be waterproof. And they had talked a lot about it for a while, that it would be a swim lap counter, and I think that'd be
well,
great.
They didn't actually talk about it. This was just leaked stuff, I believe.
Oh, I'm picking up on what
there was no word on a third band. Panos Panay was wearing a white band, but no one knows if it was a third generation band, or if it was actually just an internal developer color, because Microsoft employees get to choose a variety of special colors for their devices that show, hey, I worked on this. And I do know that white is one of them. I believe one of the other ones was, I think there was red and gold, but don't quote me on that.
Well, yes, what we've seen as the white band 2 was literally just the band 2 with a white band. And that's confusing when you think of uppercase and lowercase b in that sentence. But it was available to some Microsoft employees. There was actually one I'm trying to draw a blank at who was wearing it now, but at Ignite there was someone on stage who had the
Panos Panay.
Panos wasn't on stage at Ignite, but it was somebody else who had one.
Then where was it that he was? That there was speculation of the Band 3.
Ben Rudolph and Sam Sabri were doing kind of an interview, or like a walkthrough of Surface Labs or something.
Oh, okay.
This was a few months ago now, and as Panos Panay was talking about stuff, he had the white band 2 on. And there was plenty of speculation all about that. So
I think it's time to move on to our next topic.
We spent too much time on this.
Yeah, too much time talking about something I don't know about.
Yeah, I'm all right.
We can talk about something I do know about, though, which is that Samsung should not produce devices that look like they could be mistaken for IEDs. Also known as the Samsung PC Pulse. Which is a PC that's one of these recent devices that's trying to break the form factor. I do know that HP has another one that looks like a luxury device, I think it is. And Samsung's going in a similar direction with this thing, except it looks like a home appliance. Alternatively, a trash can or a bomb. But
kind of like a Keurig. Go with that.
Yeah. A Keurig that I don't think I would want to plug in.
No. So speaking of plugging it in, okay, this thing, what appears to be the front of it, has some USB ports and what have you. Looks like it even has Type-C on there. That's kind of cool. HDMI, whatever, Ethernet. And the freaking power plug is on the front. I mean, it looks horrible.
Yeah, having all the plugs on the front is a bad idea.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, like HDMI on the front. That? You're seriously going to go with that?
Yeah.
Power is awful. HDMI on the front is awful. Having all of these essential ports on the front is just terrible. It's like, unless there's a secondary power button on the back, then, like, whatever, but there's primary ports you're going to have in the front that are often switched out, like audio or USB. And then you got what I consider secondary ports, which you have in the back. They're always plugged in. You're not switching them out. You've got USB ports that are used for mice, power cords, Ethernet cables. You don't throw all that on the front of the device. That's like having a tablet or phone where the charging cable and your headphone ports are right next to each other. That's asking for a disaster.
You know, I've been scrolling through the comments on this post, and they are fantastic. They really, maybe I overused that word, but you should really check out some of the comments, which are
check the article. Check the article for this podcast to go look at the thing about the Samsung PC Pulse, because we all know that you love Note 7 jokes just as much as the next guy.
Yeah, this is all right. Yeah, so. This
Speaking
thing is
about
not...
PCs that are going to probably get dropped from an aircraft, the market's declining.
Yeah, I want to finish up on this, though. The price on this thing...
I was trying to think of a segue.
A good segue, I know, and I ruined it anyway. Sorry. Price on this thing...
It wasn't good anyways.
Yeah. $1,200 for an i5, $1,600 for an i7. I don't know. I mean, like, this is plenty. I mean, it's got SSD. It's got, I think they got 8 and 16 gig RAM models, obviously. But I don't know. For a fashion statement, I guess I'd say it's a pretty poor fashion statement. For a fashion
statement, you'd go with the HP one that has like leather all over it. It's like almost literally the exact same form factor, except HP is a little more triangular and well, that's if memory serves, that is. And it's got like, faux leather all over it. It looks nice. It's like, I can look at that and go, oh yeah, that's something that I would buy if I had way too much money to spend and wanted a PC that looked cool.
Yeah.
This, I look at it and think, wow, maybe after all these years, these jokes about my PC being a toaster will be real. Which, knowing Samsung... that could probably happen. Actually, does it say what graphics card it has, if any?
Yep. It's the Radeon RX 460.
AMD, okay. AMD,
Yep.
A company notorious for overheating graphics cards. In a Samsung device.
So we'll...
boy.
We'll see.
Samsung's PC toaster, which will literally toast, and burn your house down, coming to a store near you.
So maybe
I don't want to be too negative at times, but just like AMD and Samsung are a match made in a very hot place. Also known as your house.
Well, yeah, and be careful how you use them, apparently, because they can be... Yeah, this Note 7 thing is just blowing my mind, and we don't need to talk about it.
Just more than
much,
the Note 7, though. I don't know if you've heard about it, but AMD cards get pretty hot. Actually, I think it's the processors, too. I know for a fact, at least, that the processor on my parents' PCs, which they've been buying AMD, or rather, PCs that use AMD, they run pretty hot, and it's just... And it's like I can hear that fan blaring for days on end. It's like, yikes.
Well, I'm running an AMD A8, not a new one.
Not every AMD product is going to burn your house down, but there's a good deal. Enough that they deserve to be mocked, I think.
Well, I actually mine was getting very loud, and I would always record my Audacity in stereo just by default. And so a combination of upgrading the graphics card and just realizing, why don't you just run in mono, and it really reduced the the jet turbine sound that I was getting before. And now, I mean, my PC is not very far from my mic, and it's still pretty quiet. That's a good thing. So. Yeah. Anyway, so
PC... Now to move on to something that isn't a good thing.
Yeah, PC market is declining, and of course the whole world decides that time to throw up their hands in fear and run screaming and yelling at the end of the world.
Hey, that's my usual Tuesday night, so
Well, yeah.
sounds good to me.
So it's Thursday, so we have to try something different.
Crap.
This is everyone freaks out about this, but the Mac market, Apple market, for Apple computer market has dropped even more. They reduced even more greatly. Wow, they dropped more than the PC market did. And PCs are, well, let's just very broadly. Why do you think this is happening, Andy?
No one's buying a new PC to use the new version of Windows anymore.
Okay, but that's only been the last, well, let's just say 2 years or year and let's say 5 quarters, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, because people. Okay, let's give them that. Let's say the last 5 quarters, people have not. The upgrade, the new version has been available without having to get the new hardware.
Yeah. And then before that, if aside from the fact that no one was going to buy into Windows 8, or not no one rather, but good deal of people were turned off by Windows 8 and would not buy devices with it and just stuck to their old hardware. So that explains the decline before Windows 10 came out, in my opinion. I'm not sure what the experts say, though.
Some people that I know that are not experts, and I really don't know much more than them, but it used to be if my PC was going to crap, I would have to get a new one, when really I should just run a defrag, or I should just do something to maintain that thing. And I feel strongly that Microsoft is making Windows much better. Its longevity. How do I say this? Like, the software is treating the hardware better.
Yeah.
Well, I should say that the hardware isn't getting blamed for as much anymore. You don't need as strong of hardware to run through the muck of a PC that's been running, hasn't been refreshed in a while. And I'm really not using very descriptive words here, but I just feel like
I think I can sum it up with the people I know, which not very many people who think that modern PCs are designed to fail within a few years. It's like, oh man, hardware manufacturers wish. Yeah,
they would love for that to be the case, but I mean, my PC
it's definitely not.
My PC is good 6 years old or whatever, and it's not great, but it's fine. I don't need a new one. And if I got a new one, what would be any better? I mean, I could just swap out. I could just double the RAM in here. I could just put an SSD in. I could get a different graphics card for just.
My dad managed to make a computer last for a solid 12 years by just having it repaired every couple, like maybe every 3 or 4. He'd take it in, get something either upgraded or repaired, and that was it.
But right now that isn't.
I mean, that's a little drastic, but
yeah, but that isn't necessarily the default anymore. I think people, there's a lot of people using very nice high-end laptops, obviously, which in many cases you cannot swap out components, and so you do need to upgrade. But my PC has 8 gig of RAM. I knew that was decent. That was mostly future-proofing for a few years when I got it 6-7 years ago. And it's still decent enough. We haven't had to go to 32 gig of RAM to run Chrome. Yeah, maybe it would help, but
maybe not the best application to demo this.
Yeah, but I don't want to say that we've peaked, because there's plenty of things, really high-powered, incredible things you can do with PCs. But I mean, terabyte of storage is still plenty, unless you're somebody who's just doing all this video editing.
A terabyte of storage wouldn't be too much if data caps didn't exist. I don't think. You got to consider that a lot of people, I mean, just for the sake of storage, a lot of people are capped at 300, 500, etc. gigabytes a month. There were times where I think I could have filled up a 1 terabyte hard drive if I was given 1 day with good internet speeds and no limit.
Well, I guess I'm still trying to understand what I would store on there.
I totally get you. I don't really know what it's kind of hard to describe, but I don't get where it could go further.
I mean, like I can have a bunch of, if I had pretty nice images, 6-8 megapixel images, or megabyte, I should say, size images of my family and stuff, and they were, I mean, like I need an awful lot of those to fill that up, and even video. Like I don't really take that much video of my family. I'm dwelling on this too long, but I feel that people don't need to upgrade the hardware, and they're getting the software cheapish for free or whatever. Yeah, for free. And there's another component to this of people actually not wanting a PC anymore. What do you think about that, Andy?
On that
Shifting
note,
away from it.
You can do so much on your phone now that, yeah, there are times where I wake up in the morning, I do everything on my phone, and it's like there's occasionally mornings where I even forget to turn on my PC. Like there's weekends where I don't have to worry about, going to do anything for MSPoweruser, and it's like I can just leave that thing off all day if I want. I have the Xbox One for gaming, I have my phone for Twitter, email, etc., etc. I go to a PC when I want to do productive, serious work, or maybe talk with friends on, say, Steam or whatever. But yeah, that's a very valid thing. If you want to just spend your $500, $600, whatever dollars on a phone that can be mobile, be with you, and you can do some non-serious, non-productive work, that's fine, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this next story should be our last one, but this also has to do with phones. To be specific, Windows 8 phones.
This is kind of interesting. About, I'd say almost 2 years ago now, the Lumia 830 and the Lumia 640 XL, they didn't come out at the same time, but they were back then, okay, this a couple years ago. These devices were purchased by the New York City Police Department, and they have 5,500 officers that are using these things. A Windows phone, okay, 1% of the market, of the smartphone market, and they're using these for work. And yeah, I can see how it might be a smart play from enterprise standpoint. I can see how it might be a smart play from, okay, these things are cheap, they're easy to use, whatever, but the stories that I'm reading behind how much they're accomplishing is really, it's really encouraging, actually. It's really nice to hear this. And either they really ramped up the PR machine on this over and over again, because I've heard this story, it's an ongoing story for the last couple of years now. They're always very satisfied with how this is connecting, not only just connecting, obviously the officers to the main data hub, wherever all the data funnels through to get a 911 call or whatever, but also they're connecting really well, or connecting much better with the people in their communities, where they can share, send out an email or give them a phone number or something, which apparently they didn't have before. That is a little bit surprising, but I suppose,
especially for the NYPD, but maybe it's just a case like the U.S. government where they have to vet make sure every single piece of technology is vetted and tested for years, and that they're able to maintain a close working relationship with the manufacturer, which I'd say that Microsoft is fairly open to working with not only police departments, but the government, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And these are, it is helping them connect better with their communities, and they show several examples of how they've said, "Hey, if we weren't able to stay connected like this, we would never have gotten that guy. We would never caught this, this burglar or whatever." And it's really nice to see that. It's also really interesting because they now had basically alluded to updating these phones to Windows 10 Mobile. Now, they weren't very clear if they were updating the devices to Windows 10 mobile devices, or they're just upgrading the operating system. Either one, I guess if it was my call, I would say, why don't you hold off just a little longer? Because I'm just a little bit, I I don't know. It's just
I still think that from my experience with Windows Phone 8.1, that it seems like it can run on any device and it can be extremely stable while doing so.
absolutely.
I've yet to try out Windows 10 Mobile on a device, but I have heard from many, many, many frustrated friends.
Part of it too is that so many of the people, I'd say a large percentage of the people using Windows 10 Mobile are on an insider preview. So many of them have.
That's true.
Now that doesn't justify it, but it's easy to say that the people that are left using this are the enthusiasts. It's more likely for them to be running insider builds. Also, Windows 10 Mobile has not really been pushed to that many Windows 8.1 devices, and there really are only a few Windows 10 Mobile, pieces of hardware that came out with 10 Mobile on them. So it's kind of stacks a deck against them a little bit, but then again, we know it's been buggy, it's been challenging, and that does suck. But I'm really happy to see the enterprise integration and how Microsoft the police department can run the back end on it. They can lock it down. They can have everything tied in very directly, and they can control what is done on there. And I don't like generally.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
they specifically
like
note the amount of control that you have over your phone, which I remember seeing Microsoft demo a few years back, where they would show how you could connect to your work domain, and they could apply group policies, and you could disconnect, and it would be like, oh, okay, this is your phone. But if you want to do XYZ on a work thing again, it's going to go back to being locked down. You can't copy internal information to an app that isn't approved. Stuff like that.
Mm. Yeah, I think
and it's really, really good stuff.
I really don't remember when that all rolled out, but maybe midway through the 8.1 era is when they added all those enterprise features back in. It was really nice to see that. Had almost nothing to do, it barely changed the consumer or the UI experience at all, but added all that stuff back in, which was there back in the original Windows Mobile 6.1, 6.5 or whatever, and then was dropped when they went to Windows Phone 7. So, I don't know, there's still hope. I don't want to I feel bad even saying it that way, but
I think this is a pretty feel-good story. Microsoft was looking at moving stuff over to Enterprise, and now we have an Enterprise using it.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's a positive note.
All right.
And a positive note to end things on.
Yeah. Did you want to cover some of this Xbox stuff quick? I think we have time.
I can go through that quickly. Yeah. All right. Here we are. I can't go auctioneer speed, but I can do my best. There's currently an Xbox 360 Super Sale running right now, and what that means is that Microsoft has a load of Xbox 360 titles available digitally for a severely discounted price. If you're familiar with Steam sales, where they have extremely deep discounts on everything, this is almost Steam sale tier. It doesn't go to the amount of titles in the sale as you'd expect there, but you get fantastic discounts. Like, I picked up Deus Ex Human Revolution for $3.74 and then like 20 cents tax. I'd say that's a pretty good deal. You can also, and a lot of these titles do work. Oh,
I paid more for a warm apple cider at the mall today. A hot apple cider at the mall today than that game. It wasn't even that good, and I didn't even think it was overpriced.
That's the magic of digital games, because you don't have to worry about the prices of a box. You can see not even manufacturers, but publishers or producers just go, you know what, 80% off, have fun, and it's great. And a lot of these titles in the sale do work on the Xbox One. You'll see ones that are specifically marked with a big black and white banner that says plays on Xbox One. And all I can really say more about the sale is just go play Deus Ex. Seriously. Other titles here, this one isn't particularly Xbox related, but is more of gaming related in general and Windows 10. That there's an application called UWP Hook, which will let you open UWP games through Valve's gaming platform Steam. And this is something that's very basic right now. It doesn't have stuff like reasons you'll really want to get it in here. Like, for example, if you want to open up Gears of War 4 through Steam and play with the Steam overlay, that isn't available yet, but the developer of the application is working on it. And currently, it'll just let you launch a game through Steam, put the game in Steam categories, and show your friends that you are playing the game, which is nice. Not too much of a purpose yet, but it is nice. And then finally, EA Access members can now play 10 hours of Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 is coming out in 6 days from... No, not 6... It's coming out a week and a day from when this is being recorded, but a week from when this podcast will be published. This, it's nice, EA Access lets you play a variety of Electronic Arts titles before release, and this is just, the latest one in the batch. Previous titles available for this included Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 and Unraveled. And if you merely start it up during this program, you will get an exclusive dog tag, and if you play through all 10 hours of it, you will get a battle pack in the full version of the game. That's it.
Very good. All right, well, this has been a fun episode. We shifted off the rails a little bit. I think it wasn't too painful for you listeners, but if we did inflict pain on you, let us know. Follow us on Twitter at MSPoweruser. If you happen to actually enjoy the show, you should let us know as well. Also, you could review us. We're in iTunes and all that kind of thing. Yeah, Microsoft Podcast and iTunes, but that's the place to review us, so go do so. If you want to find out when the new episode is available, obviously Andy publishes these every Friday morning, but also just subscribe to the podcast in your favorite podcast.
It's not just me. I just want to give a shout out to Mahidi here, as he's back up and doing a good deal of the work when it comes to publishing. I might write up the articles. I might get a good deal of stuff organized, but he's the one who gets the video put out. He's the one who chooses when to publish the article. He does a great job doing all this stuff, and you know what? I can happily say that I couldn't do it without him, because when I did do it without him over these past couple of weeks, there was many a sleepless night. So thanks, Mahidi. You're appreciated.
And Andy, I appreciate you too, buddy. You do a good job putting in a lot of the articles for us to cover, especially this week as I was pulled away from some family things. Got us started a little bit later. Anyway, thanks for listening to the show. Be sure to subscribe. We appreciate that. If you feel compelled to interact with us individually on Twitter, please do so. I am on Twitter at Vernon E, and Andy, of course, is on Twitter at FusionFan45. That's it. Nice show, Andy.
Nice show, Vernon.
Have a great week, everyone.